People can talk all they want, but talking doesn't fill a refrigerator, pay an electricity bill, or provide a safe home. Right now, one of the most talked about families online, the Whittakers, are living proof of a disturbing truth. Everyone wants their story, but nobody wants to pay for it. The debate isn't about whether the Whittakers are loved or interesting. They have millions of viewers, billions of views if you add up all reposts and downloads. They are one of the most viral American families in modern media history. But the scandal, the part so many content creators, reporters, and self-proclaimed advocates avoid addressing publicly, is the way everyone benefits, except the Whittakers themselves. Platforms profit. Creators profit. Newspapers profit. Random pages on Facebook with fan documentaries profit. The only ones who aren't cashing in are the very people the world is watching and exploiting. That's the scandal. That's the outrage. Let's rewind, because the money trail didn't start yesterday. It started the moment Mark from Soft White Underbelly released a single interview online. A quiet, shy group of relatives sitting on a porch suddenly became internet icons. Millions watched that first video, countless more watched the next ones. Advertisers made money. YouTube made money. Mark made money. And what did the Whittakers receive? A few $100 the first time. A couple of groceries the second time. Maybe a check here and there. But never anything close to the revenue their likeness generated. Then came the wave, content creators camping at their street, reporters flying in, strangers turning the holler into a tourist attraction. And every single camera pointed at the family was making someone money. People came with microphones, with cash apps, with big promises. We can help you. We'll save you from poverty. We'll make sure you're treated fairly. Yet here we are. 3 of the disabled adult family members, Timmy, Lorraine, and Ray, were removed by Adult Protective Services. Betty and Larry are living in a place without running water, without proper plumbing, without stability. Their home might not even legally belong to them. They are talking to lawyers. They are confused, overwhelmed, scared. And despite all the noise online, they still haven't been paid what they're owed. Look at the timeline. Years of viral videos. Dozens of YouTube creators monetizing every reaction. Facebook streamers collecting donations with the family's name as the title. Newspaper outlets raising their subscriber count by featuring them. And even the ones who claimed they were helping found ways to profit in the process. Some bought themselves expensive personal items. Some bragged about influencers' salaries. A few even claimed they were owed the money because they did more work than the family did. Imagine saying you deserve the profit from a family story because you filmed them. Imagine putting your own name on a vehicle someone else paid for. Imagine building yourself a remodeled house, new windows, new bathrooms, a fancy tub, all while the people who funded it unknowingly don't even have a working toilet. But there's a bigger question here. Why isn't there a legal protection system for families like the Whittakers? A family with disabilities, without a lawyer, without education on copyright, without an agent or manager, suddenly becomes a media asset. The world watches, rewatches, shares, comments, and profits. They can't negotiate fair pay. They can't form a legal agreement. They don't even know how much they're supposed to earn. Yet people walk away saying, "We helped them." If helping means turning people into an unpaid product, then that's not help. That's exploitation. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie. A typical viral documentary channel easily makes tens of thousands off one successful video. If a video crosses 1 million views, ad revenue alone could hit $5,000 to $20,000 depending on content, ads, and audience. Some creators made dozens of Whittaker videos. Some used them to boost their brand and sell merchandise. Some used donations for the family, only to later refuse transparency when asked to show receipts. And here's the ugly truth. People only started talking about payment when other creators called them out. Not because it was morally obvious. Not because they felt guilty. But because they got caught. That's when the excuses began. Well, I gave them food. I bought them a heater. They should be grateful for exposure. They get government assistance anyway. Exposure doesn't buy land. Government assistance can be canceled if they are given too much outside income. That's right. If they suddenly received cash in their name, it could jeopardize their disability benefits, healthcare, and essential support. So anyone truly wanting to help should have hired legal support first, not shown up with a camera. But cameras make money. Lawyers cost money. Guess which one people chose? This is why the scandal is bigger than a single person. Bigger than one channel. Bigger than one family. America has an appetite for poverty entertainment. People click, share, and gasp at shocking lives, suffering, and tragedy. They find it unique, fascinating, or heartbreaking. They turn pain into a product. But they don't think about who gets paid for starring in the show. And if the stars can't fight for themselves, who will? The family didn't ask to be a documentary. They didn't audition. They didn't sign a contract understanding long-term consequences. They didn't know that strangers would drive hours to take pictures of them like animals at a zoo. They didn't know their faces would appear on memes. They didn't know that their trauma, their poverty, their disabilities would become someone else's revenue stream. They didn't ask for fame. Fame came for them. Fame came with cameras pointed at their doorstep, promises whispered into their ears, donations disappearing into someone else's pocket, and people claiming hero status because they filmed a porch. The money isn't the only scandal. The silence is. Nobody wants to admit this publicly because if you admit it, you have to answer for it. And if you answer for it, you have to pay. And nobody wants to pay the Whittakers. Before that, comment below. Do you think the family deserves back pay from every creator who used their image without compensation? Why or why not? Hey everyone, before we get into the next part, I've got something special to share with you. If you're all about making your home smarter, cozier, and just a little bit more you, then you've got to check this out. We've partnered with Trekbo.com, a place built for people who love clever solutions and everyday comfort. From wellness and skincare must-haves to smart home gadgets, heated gear, and lifestyle tech, Trekbo is packed with products that make life easier, warmer, and way more fun. I've personally picked some of my favorite finds, things that actually work, look great, and make your day smoother. Whether it's something to simplify your morning routine, help you unwind after a long day, or bring a little innovation into your home, you'll find it there. So before you scroll past, take a quick look at Trekbo.com. Trust me, it's full of discoveries waiting to make your everyday better. Alright, now let's get back to it, because after this video, you're definitely going to want to explore what Trekbo has in store for the Whittaker household community. Because the biggest question people ask is simple. How can so many people make money using the Whittakers' faces, voices, and private lives without paying them? The answer isn't just greed. It's loopholes, desperation, and an uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. The system doesn't protect families like the Whittakers. It punishes them. To understand this scandal fully, we need to break down exactly how the money pipeline formed and how everyone kept taking from it. 1. The viral explosion that had no protection. When Mark's soft white underbelly videos first went viral, there were no lawyers present, no agreements, and no protection for the Whittakers' income, likeness, or privacy. People assume that when a family is in a film, they sign a contract. That's not what happened. In fact, the family didn't even understand what was happening. They didn't understand the impact that video would have on them. They didn't know that being interviewed for 15 minutes could generate hundreds of thousands of dollars. They also didn't know that the minute those videos were published, Their faces belonged to the internet. Here's where the exploitation began. Once the content became public, anyone could download it, re-edit it, re-upload it, comment on it, make money from ads, ask for donations to help the family. And they did. They did it in different formats: reaction videos, investigations, updates, fake fundraisers, parodies and memes, TikTok reposts, news reports, Facebook live streams. And every single one of those uploads created revenue for anyone except the Whittakers. Why didn't anyone stop it? Because nobody thought they had to, and nobody wanted to. 2. The donation trap that was never meant to protect them. So many creators use the same phrase: "I'm collecting money to help the family." Some creators meant well, some didn't. But in every case, money was collected without legal oversight. And when you collect money without legal oversight, one thing happens every single time. The donor is protected. The family isn't. Creators kept donations in their own accounts. They gave the family gifts instead of checks. They bought food and clothing with donation money and treated it like they were heroes. Because giving them money directly would jeopardize their SSI, Medicaid, disability status, and food support. In other words, creators used their poverty as a shield. We can't give them money or they'll lose benefits. So we'll manage the money for them. And when you manage the money for someone who can't legally enforce accountability, you become the owner of their earnings. You become the filter. You become the banker. You decide what gets delivered and what gets pocketed. And since the family couldn't check receipts, they couldn't argue. They couldn't sue. They couldn't even ask for proof, because they don't understand how business works. That's why you can help a family and steal from them at the same time. Just act generous in public. 3. The laws that hurt them more than poverty ever did. Financial benefits for disabled adults are complicated. They are designed to support people who cannot work, but they also block them from earning anything extra. It's a trap disguised as assistance. If the Whittakers receive more than a tiny amount of outside income, their government benefits can be cut off. That includes disability checks, food benefits, Medicaid coverage, home support services. That means one big payment could destroy their entire safety net. So when creators claim they couldn't just give them their share of the earnings, technically, that part is true. But here's the part they leave out. Nothing stopped creators from hiring a financial attorney to legally protect the money. Nothing stopped them from creating a trust. Nothing stopped them from forming a legal payment structure. Nothing stopped them from building a house deeded in Betty's name. Nothing stopped them from paying for land in a trust that wouldn't disqualify her benefits. They had the money to remodel their own homes. They had the money to build careers, film equipment, traveling expenses, and followers. They had the money to post photos of copper tubs and custom kitchens. They simply didn't invest in the Whittakers the same way they invested in themselves. And when you have the ability to help but choose not to, it's no longer ignorance. It's exploitation. 4. The creative industry that profits from poverty. The Whittakers became a genre. Poverty became content. Disability became entertainment. Nobody wants to admit that, but it's the truth. America consumes poverty like a TV show. Hoarder houses, extreme families, odd cultures, true crime documentaries, inbred family stories. It's a billion-dollar content category. The poorer someone is, the more profitable they become once a camera points at them. Not because people want to help, but because people want to watch. The internet wants to be shocked. It wants to react. It wants to laugh. Debate. Content that triggers emotion gets views. And views get paid. And families like the Whittakers are vulnerable because they can't negotiate. They don't understand copyright. They don't understand monetization. They can't manage their public image. The creators understand all of that. That's why they benefit. It's why they keep filming. It's why they keep checking in on the family. Why retire from YouTube when your most profitable subject has no way to demand their share? 5. Reporters, commentators, and Facebook streamers, all guilty. Here's the hardest pill to swallow. Most people who talk about the Whittakers, even the ones calling out fraud, are making money off the scandal. YouTube channels exposing the situation? Monetized. Commentary pages? Monetized. Reaction videos? Monetized. TikTok live feeds discussing them? Monetized. News agencies writing exposés? Selling subscriptions. Even videos defending the family earn revenue. This means the system rewards people for continuing the drama. It rewards outrage. It rewards calling out. It rewards updates, whether they are solutions or chaos. Which means something very simple. The more problems the Whittakers have, the more profitable they become. So let's tell the truth clearly. Creators don't want the Whittaker situation resolved. If the family had legal guardianship, income trusts, proper housing, and privacy, the money would dry up. Solving the problem kills the business. 6. The family is paying the price, literally. What did the family get for being the internet's most famous poverty case? 3 adults removed from their home. The threat of losing their property. A decaying, unhealthy environment. Public humiliation. Aggressive strangers showing up with cameras. Benefactors who betray them. Creators fighting over them like property. They have lost more from fame than they ever gained from it. Their lives are more unstable now than before the internet ever found them. The content creators walked away with money, followers, fame, platforms, and paid partnerships. The Whittakers walked away with fear, government intervention, and confusion. That's the price they paid. 7. Why nobody wants to pay them now? Now that the truth is out, why isn't anyone stepping up to pay what they owe? Because paying the family requires legal documentation, admitting guilt, setting a precedent, potentially triggering lawsuits, tax records proving past income, returning misused donations. Paying them means exposing a timeline of exploitation. Paying them means answering the public's follow-up question. If you had money to remodel your own home, why didn't you secure theirs? Nobody wants to answer that question. Nobody wants receipts. Nobody wants accountability. Because once you show what you earned, the world can calculate what you owe. So what happens next? If the Whittakers ever receive a fair share from their own fame, it won't come from helpers. It won't come from influencers. It won't come from strangers with cameras. It will come through legal representation, trust accounts, property protection, media contracts with royalties, court-ordered payouts if necessary. The internet can call for justice. The internet can demand transparency. But only a lawyer can force payment, which leads to one final question. Who will step up and represent the family without exploiting them in the process? Comment below. Do you think content creators should be forced to legally disclose earnings made off the Whittakers? Why or why not? There were multiple chances to protect the Whittaker family, and every time, someone chose profit over responsibility. This is the real scandal. Not what was filmed, not what was shared, but what was never done. 1. The first contract that never happened. When millions of views started rolling in, people assumed the family would eventually benefit. After all, how could a family generate millions of dollars in content without compensation? The answer? No contract equals no rights. There was a moment when someone could have stepped in and protected the family. Lawyers could have been hired by the content creators. They could have said, let's set up a fund. Let's build a trust. Let's secure royalties. But that would have created accountability. It would have created a paper trail. It would have made future earnings traceable. And that would have cost the creators money. So instead of securing the family's rights, the industry chose the easier path. Just film them. Just upload. Just collect the money. The absence of a contract wasn't an accident. It was convenient. 2. The exploitation strategy, gift instead of pay. The most successful loophole used by creators was simple. Don't pay the family directly. Buy things for them. By providing groceries, small appliances, rides, clothes, or gifts, creators portrayed themselves as generous while avoiding actual payments. They could spend $40 and claim they helped, while pocketing thousands in revenue. And because the Whittakers didn't question these gifts, the creators had an excuse to keep the donations and ad revenue flowing. Let's break down what this strategy accomplished. They avoided legal income reporting. They avoided providing proof of donations. They avoided giving the family control. They kept their own books clean. They built social media image as a hero. And the most important part? Any gift can be used as content. If a creator buys a refrigerator for $600, but earns $12,000 filming it being delivered, are they helping the family, or is the family helping them? 3. The story was more valuable than the people. Every content creator who approached the family discovered something early. Viewers weren't coming back to see the creator. They were coming back to see the Whittakers. This meant that the family's existence became the product. The more unusual the story, the more money it produced. Creators realized that showing poverty generates sympathy. Showing disability generates emotion. Showing strange behavior generates fascination. Showing rural isolation generates mystery. The internet consumed them. People were shocked. Others were captivated. Some were curious. Many pitied them. A few even mocked them. But everyone kept watching. The family became characters. Every visit was an episode. Every crisis was a storyline. Their suffering was profitable. 4. The delusion of raising awareness. This is the most manipulative phrase used in the entire saga. I'm raising awareness. Creators and fans repeat it to justify watching, sharing, and profiting from the family's struggle. But awareness isn't help. Awareness doesn't pay rent. Awareness doesn't build a house. Awareness doesn't pay a medical bill. Awareness without action isn't altruism. It's entertainment. What has awareness accomplished for the Whittakers? 3 adults were removed from their home. Government intervention increased scrutiny. Fans began trespassing on their property. Content creators fought over their access. Their poverty became a global spectacle. Awareness brought chaos, not support. The phrase, raising awareness, should be replaced with the truth. I'm gaining attention from their suffering. 5. The audience is part of the exploitation. Viewers may not want to admit it, but they played a role. Every click helped fuel the monetization. Every comment kept the algorithm active. Every share added more revenue for creators. The audience didn't mean harm, but they fed the system. They rewarded exploitation with likes, laughs, donations to the wrong people, and endless curiosity. Watching a video doesn't feel harmful. But when millions watch a video about a vulnerable family and nobody protects them, everyone's participation becomes part of the harm. We love to blame YouTubers and content creators. But if nobody watched, there would be no profit to steal. The public helped create the problem, without realizing it. 6. When money appeared, ethics disappeared. Once earnings reached substantial amounts, everyone changed. Creators became territorial. They treated the family like their content. Other creators targeted them. They attacked each other's motives to gain followers. Reporters jumped in. News outlets covered the drama, not the solutions. Local opportunists got involved. Strangers visited their home for clout. Creators began investigating each other. The attention shifted from poverty to drama. Suddenly, it wasn't about the family at all. It was about who deserved access, who helped the most, who knew the real story, who exposed the truth, who was honest versus lying. The family became a prize in a social media war. They weren't treated as people anymore. They were treated as ownership. 7. The moment the family needed help most, they got silence. When government intervention escalated, when 3 family members were removed, creators should have stepped in legally. They should have hired representation, provided proof of assistance, supplied evidence of caregiving, used earnings to protect the family's rights. Instead, everybody backed away. They posted reactions. They made commentary videos. They debated what happened. They asked for donations again. But nobody provided legal representation. Because lawyers cost money. And lawyers leave receipts. Receipts expose income. Receipts lead to accountability. 8. Exploitation has an expiration date. Here's the ironic truth of internet exploitation. When the exploited person loses their ability to be filmed, they lose their value. And what happened when the government removed the 3 most vulnerable family members? Creators panicked. Because suddenly, there was no content. There were no episodes. There were no shocking moments to film. There was no porch to record. The family's suffering had been so profitable that the moment it was removed, creators scrambled to find new drama. They shifted the narrative from, "Let's help the Whittakers," to, "Who's responsible for this mess?" They turned on each other. They began accusing each other. They created new scandals to replace the old one. It wasn't about the family anymore. It was about keeping the money flowing. 9. What should have happened? If creators truly wanted to help the family, this is what they would have done from the beginning. Form a legal trust for earnings. Assign a guardian who represents the family. Hire a disability lawyer for benefit protection. Establish a protective media contract. Create a non-profit entity to manage funds. Secure their housing with legal deed structure. Provide a financial advisor who doesn't profit. Require transparency for donations. Create a royalty system for content usage. All of this could have been done years ago. And with the amount of revenue generated, none of it would have been expensive. The family could have had protection. The family could have had stable housing. The family could have received income legally. The family could have been safe. But protection doesn't make creators rich. Protecting people doesn't generate controversy. Securing housing doesn't create drama. Trust accounts don't go viral on YouTube. So nobody did it. 10. The uncomfortable conclusion. Everyone says they care. Everyone says they want change. Everyone says they love the family. But love without responsibility is exploitation. Care without structure is chaos. Attention without protection is abuse. Views without payment are theft. Donations without documentation are fraud. The reality is simple. If you profit from someone else's suffering and they receive nothing, you are not helping them. You are using them. The question now is whether anyone will finally do the thing that's been avoided for years. Provide legal and financial protection for the Whittaker family. Not through cameras. Not through likes. Not through donations to third parties. Not through updates. But through contract, accountability, and law. Comment below. Do you think legal action should force creators to pay the Whittakers retroactively? Why or why not? The truth has now been laid bare. The Whittaker family was never protected, not by the system, not by creators, and not by the online community that watched their lives unfold like a spectacle. Part 4 asks the most important question. Well, now, How do we fix what should have never been broken? The family cannot undo the videos. They cannot erase the documentaries. They cannot unbecome a phenomenon. Their story belongs to the internet, whether they want it or not. But their future? That's still a fight worth winning. 1. Accountability doesn't start with apologies. People love apologies. They love, "I'm sorry." They love emotional videos with dramatic music and confessions. But apologies aren't justice. A speech doesn't pay debt. A tearful live stream doesn't create change. A remorseful tone won't undo exploitation. The only apology that matters is compensation. Not through donations. Not through gifts. Not through groceries. Not through gas money. The family deserves direct payment for years of content. If someone uses your labor for profit, they owe you. If someone uses your image for profit, they owe you. If someone uses your disability for profit, they owe you even more. The Whittakers' faces were sold to the world. Their vulnerabilities were distributed as entertainment. Their home became content. Their trauma was a product. Now the profit must be returned. Period. 2. What payment should actually look like? Giving the family a lump sum of cash is irresponsible. It sounds generous, but it's actually dangerous. Losing disability benefits. Losing housing support. Creating exploitation from new opportunists. Enabling financial predators. Exposing them to theft or manipulation. So payment must be structured, protected, and legal. A fair solution includes heavy checkmark establishing a legal trust. Funds earned from past exploitation go into a protected trust, controlled by a licensed trustee, not a creator, not a family friend, not a fan. Heavy checkmark monthly stipends. The trust pays the family sustainable monthly income without threatening SSI or Medicaid eligibility. Heavy checkmark housing funds. Part of the trust is allocated to housing renovation or secure rental property in the family's name, not owned by influencers, landlords exploiting them, or LLCs trying to seize their address. Heavy checkmark legal oversight. A disability rights attorney and forensic accountant oversee all transactions. No creator touches this money. No outsider distributes it. No fan manages it. Heavy checkmark future royalties. Any creator who continues using old footage must pay a royalty fee into the trust. That's real justice. That's real protection. That's real help. 3. Fans must stop feeding the problem. People think they're helping when they send money to creators for the family. Watch new videos using the Whittakers' names. Reward drama with viewership. Argue online about who's telling the truth. Send donations without proof of distribution. Defend creators without transparency. But viewers are not helping when they act without accountability. Good intentions without structure continue the exploitation. Here is what fans should do instead. Prohibited: don't donate to anyone without legal transparency. If there's no contract, don't send money. Prohibited: don't watch creator drama videos. Drama profits creators, not the family. Prohibited: don't romanticize raising awareness. Awareness without action is exploitation disguised as empathy. Prohibited: don't assume someone else is helping. That assumption is exactly how the family was left unpaid for years. Prohibited: don't participate in voyeurism. Watching only to be shocked or entertained is part of the problem. The solution requires shifting money and attention from creators to legal advocacy and protected financial support. For creators must be held to a standard. Creators rely on one thing above all else: public trust. If the audience demands accountability, the creators must comply. That means proof of past revenue earned from the family. Proof of payments made to the family. Proof of assets bought with Whittaker money. Proof of contracts, if they exist. And if they refuse? Then the audience must stop supporting them. No views. No clicks. No shares. No benefit of the doubt. No, let's wait and see. Exploitation survives because people tolerate it. 5. It may require legal action. Many viewers think lawsuits are too extreme. They think the creators didn't mean harm. They think it was just bad management. They think they tried to help. None of that matters. Good intentions don't erase profits. Bad management doesn't cancel debt. Trying isn't the same as paying. If creators refuse to act voluntarily, legal avenues must be considered. A civil lawsuit for unpaid royalties. Fiduciary fraud investigation. Misappropriation of funds case. Exploitation of vulnerable adults claim. And because the family was exploited across state lines via the internet, certain actions could even qualify for federal review. No one wants it to escalate. But if the money isn't returned, escalation becomes justice. 6. Stop saying, well, they should be grateful. Imagine someone films a person in a wheelchair, makes $300,000 using their image, and gives them a plate of food in return. Are they supposed to say thank you? Gratitude doesn't replace payment. Poverty doesn't make exploitation ethical. Disability doesn't make their rights disappear. They don't owe creators gratitude. Creators owe them compensation. The world must stop confusing help with control. Charity with ownership. Exposure with empowerment. The family doesn't need attention. They need protection. 7. What real help looks like moving forward. Helping the family doesn't require visiting them. It doesn't require filming them. It doesn't require buying trucks, gifts, groceries, or stoves. Real help means heavy checkmark advocating for a legal trust. Heavy checkmark demanding accountability from creators. Heavy checkmark supporting an attorney-managed settlement. Heavy checkmark upholding the dignity of vulnerable adults. Heavy checkmark refusing to participate in voyeurism. Heavy checkmark pressuring platforms like YouTube and Facebook to enforce ethical monetization. This is bigger than one family in West Virginia. This is about how the internet treats vulnerable people everywhere. 8. The only thing standing between the family and justice is action. Action from viewers demanding transparency. Creators admitting and correcting mistakes. Legal professionals stepping forward. Advocates organizing protection. Platforms enforcing ethical guidelines. The story isn't over. It's entering the chapter where the world decides whether it is capable of doing what no one bothered to do at the beginning. Treat the Whittaker family as humans, not content. Final question. Should creators who profited from the family be legally required to pay royalties into a protected trust, even if they claim to have helped them in other ways? Comment your answer below. Thank you for watching this video. Click here to watch another video that might interest you.